Hey folks, Tennessee Brando here. You know, back when I first watched the events of January 6th unfold on that day, before there was ever a January 6th commission, before anyone hit the replay and we watched it again, I remember thinking as I watched the events of that day unfold, this has got to be the end of Donald Trump. He's done. The American people will never stand for this. This is the end of him. We will move past this and we will get better from this. And instead, here we are in 2023 with people still doubling down, people still trying to find a way to justify the actions of Donald Trump and the actions of what happened that day, and going after the ones that are trying to hold him accountable and trying to persecute them and trying to demonize them. I never thought on that day that this is where we would be in 2023, but here we are. But I've got a really good clip here from Merrick Garland I want you to see, because in it, he sums it up better than I could ever say it, explaining exactly why these things are happening to Donald Trump. It's not because he's being persecuted. It's simply because he's being held accountable. Take a look at this clip, and then let's talk more about it.
And our job is to uphold the rule of law. That means we apply the same laws to everyone. There is not one set of laws for the powerful and another for the powerless, one for the rich and another for the poor, one for Democrats and another for Republicans, or different rules depending upon one's race or ethnicity or religion. Our job is to pursue justice without fear or favor. Our job is not to do what is politically convenient. Our job is not to take orders from the president, from Congress, or from anyone else about who or what to criminally investigate. As the president himself has said, and I reaffirm today, I am not the president's lawyer. I will add, I am not Congress's prosecutor. The Justice Department works for the American people. Our job is to follow the facts and the law, and that is what we do. All of us recognize that with this work comes public scrutiny, criticism, and legitimate oversight. These are appropriate and important given the matters and the gravity of the matters that are before the department. But singling out individual career public servants who are just doing their jobs is dangerous, particularly at a time of increased threats to the safety of public servants and their families. We will not be intimidated. We will do our jobs free from outside influence, and we will not back down from defending our democracy. Third, I want to explain why we approach our job in this way.
Everything that Merrick Garland said in that clip is a bitter truth that MAGA Republicans will never be able to accept. It's a bitter truth that a whole lot of Republicans won't be able to accept because they're afraid of distancing themselves from Trump. They're afraid of going against him. They're afraid of, without his rabid base, that they have no foundation. And so no matter how many times we echo the sentiment of what Merrick Garland was saying, there are always going to be those people out there who will never be able to accept it. And there's going to be those people out there who will continue to spin this narrative and twist this narrative that, well, they're trying to weaponize the Department of Justice against Donald Trump. They're trying to silence political opponents. They're trying to censor anyone who disagrees with them. That is simply their way of trying to condone and hang on to this. And I never thought we would ever live to see that in this country. I grew up and I had uncles at one time that was on the Republican side of the fence, and they talked about responsibility and accountability and pulling each other up by the bootstraps. They talked about the Constitution and how that we should always stand for it and how we should always stand for the truth and democracy. And yet somewhere along the lines, this MAGA cult got hold of the Republican Party and completely hijacked it to the point now that when we try to hold someone accountable, we can't, because we have this loud group of people trying to shout it down and trying to tell us that we didn't see what happened on that day. You really didn't see that. That really didn't happen. That ain't what you think you saw. Ever since Donald Trump entered the political arena, it has just been one constant gaslight. We have been gaslit this entire time, and it's getting so tiresome. It's getting so hard to keep sitting here day after day trying to point these things out, hoping that one person out there will grasp at what we're trying to say, and that this is not a Democrat versus Republican issue, okay? This is not about the left versus the right. This is not about liberal versus conservative. It's none of those things. This is about the American people, and this is about our democracy. And this is about a man who tried to overturn an election that he knew he lost. And what is happening is he is being held accountable. And like Merrick Garland said, he's not the president's lawyer. They're not Congress's prosecutor. They're working for the American people. Donald Trump put his left hand on the Bible, raised his right hand, and swore to defend and protect the Constitution. He did none of that. He went against everything he said. He went against everything that oath said, and he did it with his hand on a King James Bible. And that was something that we were supposed to take very seriously. That was an oath that was supposed to really mean something. But if we allow these people to sit and twist this narrative, if we allow to continue to let them threaten the people going after Donald Trump, if we allow to sit back and let them continue to paint this picture the way it is, we're going to lose democracy forever, and there's never going to be a point of having anyone ever put their left hand on the Bible and raise their right hand again. What would ever be the point? If Donald Trump is allowed to slip through the cracks and get away with this, why would we even have an inauguration ever again? As a matter of fact, I think that's kind of their whole point. I'm pretty sure they don't want to have an inauguration again. I'm pretty sure that they want to live with a dictator, and that should scare the living shit out of everybody. And I'm not here to try to put fear tactics on you. I'm not here to try to use fear to get my way. I'm here to try to point out the obvious that's happening right in front of our face. January 6th should have been the end of it. January 6th should have been the moment where we all said, enough's enough, we're never going to stand for this again. That should have been the end of it. And yet we have people still to this day trying to distort and to twist the narrative to make Donald Trump the hero in the story. I understand that the MAGA cult is never going to be able to let him go. But to the Republican Party, this is what I would like to say. You guys used to be the party of responsibility, of accountability, of pulling yourself up by the boots. Whatever happened to that style of Republican? Where are they at? Why can you not let this guy go? Why can you not find a candidate out there? I'll just throw one at you. Chris Christie, okay? I probably wouldn't vote for Chris Christie. I can't see myself doing that. But Chris Christie is reasonable. Chris Christie could possibly reach across the aisle and work with Democrats. Chris Christie could inspire and get independents and moderates over to your side. Donald Trump is going to do none of that for you. Donald Trump is never going to make that happen for you. He's going to drive independents and moderates even further away, and that's who you need to win. So this idea that you're trying to hang on to him, you want to hang on to him so you can win, you've lost with him every step of the way. You've not won shit. So call out the cult for what they are. The country cannot come together until Republicans call this out. It has to be them that stands up and says, we're tired of this and we're not going to take this anymore, and this does not represent us. And then you'll see people on our side of the fence go, okay, all right, bring a reasonable Republican up to the table. Let's all bring our ideas to the table based on data and research, and let's see which one works best for the American people. That's what should be happening, and that's what could happen if the Republican Party would finally go ahead and just cut that string and just let Donald Trump and his crowd of people go. That's not what the Republican Party was, 20 years ago. I mean, I started to say it wasn't my grandfather's Republicans. Hell, it wasn't even George W. Bush's Republicans. That's how far radical this thing has went. And I can't believe I'm sitting here trying to give Republican pointers, but I would just like to see reasonable debates again. I would like to see them back in the game to where I felt like we were debating the issues at hand instead of just debating sanity versus absolute madness. So, folks, just keep hitting that subscribe button here on MeidasTouch, and hopefully we will get through to people. Hopefully, I know that we are getting through to people. I know there's people out there listening. I know there's people out there sharing these videos and getting them out there, and I think we're on the right side of history. At the end of the day, that's how I sleep at night. I sleep knowing, you know what? I'm part of a group that when all this is said and done, when it's all over and the dust settles and we're all old and gray sitting around, which I'm already old and gray, but when we're all older and we're just sitting around talking about it, we will look back and say we were on the right side of history. So, folks, keep hitting that subscribe button and keep tuning in. And until next time, I'm Tennessee Brando. You guys keep tuning in. I'll keep telling you the truth.
Hey, Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.